everyone. Welcome to the Law Firm Reboot podcast. My name is Nick Worker. Now, during this podcast, we'll be featuring recordings of panels that took place live at Answering Legal's 2024 Law Firm Summer Reboot Camp. Before we dive into that recording, I wanted to briefly let you know a little bit about the camp's host, Answering Legal. For those not already familiar, Answering Legal is a 24/7 virtual receptionist service that exclusively works with the legal industry. Whenever lawyers can't get to the phone, our highly trained receptionist team is there to make sure they never miss the new client. Answering Legal now even integrates with your favorite legal softwares and provides a free mobile app. As a thank you for checking out our podcast, we're giving you a special free trial offer of Answering Legal, which includes an additional $300 off of services. To take advantage of this offer, visit answeringlegal.com, book a discovery call with our team, and just let us know you watched our Reboot podcast. Please note that this is a limited time offer. Now, without further ado, let's get to our panel. It's 3 o'clock, so I actually get to start. So hello, everyone, and welcome back to Answering Legal's 2024 Law Firm Summer Reboot Camp. We are all set for our third and final panel of the day, as we'll be sharing tips on how to break through on social media. Here to help dish out those tips are our expert panelists, Allison, Johs, Conrad Sam, Philip Fairley, and Steve Fretzen. Thank you all for being here. Now, before we dive into the questions, let's get to know our panel a little bit. Panelists, could you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the place or places that you work, own, operate, or whatever you call your day-to-day at the place that you work? I'll start with you, Conrad.
So I've been playing this game since 2006. Those of you who heard me speak earlier today, I apologize for the reiteration. But in 2006, I started with what was then a 6-person company called Avo. And for a while, it was a big deal. And now it's kind of trickled off back into obscurity a little bit, which is sad. But I was really lucky to get to learn the SEO game, and SEO and social started to get really, really tied together. And so about 11 years ago, I started this agency called Mockingbird, and we focus exclusively on legal and do kind of the full tech stack of digital marketing.
Thanks, Conrad. How about you, Steve?
Yeah, Steve Fretzen. I've got a company for the last 17 years working exclusively with lawyers to help them grow their law practices, and do that in 2 ways. One is through a very involved coaching and training program, helping them learn all the skills they never learned in law school. And then the other side of it is I run currently a number of peer advisory roundtables called the Rainmaker Roundtables. So this is mainly for managing partners and for equity partners that are doing $1 million to $10 million a year and feel isolated and want to be in a group of high-powered people that can advise each other. And when I'm not busy doing that, I'm doing a ton of marketing. The Be That Lawyer podcast. I've written 4 books on legal business development and write for Above the Law most recently. So, but super happy to be here, Nick, and I'm just happy to be on this panel with these amazing people.
I'm sorry, I have to ask. I can't read the entire poster behind you, but I'm pretty sure it says Serenity Now. Is that like a Seinfeld poster?
Yeah, those are a bunch of Seinfeld quotes. One of my clients knew I was a fan and sent me that. So it's got Serenity Now, No Soup for You, and all the great Seinfeld quotes that I turn around and read and just get a smile on my face if I'm ever feeling blue. So yeah, and I got the Michael Jordan over here and Seinfeld over here.
Love that. Serenity Now is, I yell that a little too often, I think, for the liking of my Serenity Now.
Yeah.
I'll move on. I'm sorry. Allison, Johs, if you would be so kind.
That's a tough act to follow. I'm Allison Johs from Legal Ease Consulting. I was a practicing lawyer for about 15 years and then decided to blow up my life and do something different. And I started Legal Ease Consulting, and I help lawyers with the business end of their practice. So I do a lot with productivity and time management, operations, billing and systems, and then a lot with marketing and business development. And I have developed, not on purpose, it just happened this way, kind of a particular emphasis on LinkedIn over the years. And then last year, I also started with 3 other lawyer friends of mine, one of whom is my husband. We started a mediation company in the New York, Long Island area. So I've been trying to kind of get that up and running for the past year while I'm also running my consulting business. So
I'll make the same joke, but you still called him your friend today, and I'm very glad that you can call your husband your friend. And to our other resident Chicago fan, Philip Fairley, last but not least.
Well, I think you did this in order, and that's great. And no insult to the people that were after Steve, but I'm really flattered to be on this panel because I knew two of them, and the reputations precede them. So I'm a little flattered to be invited on this. I'm the president and owner of Rainmaker Institute. We've been around for 25 years. This is our 25th year in business. And since that time, we have worked with over 23,000 law firms and attorneys. And really, what we are known for is not just helping clients generate leads, but really our specialty is converting those leads into clients. The business of law, running your firm with numbers, and then automatic intake and sales systems, and the consulting that goes on with that. Because really, at the end of the day, that's the big difference between a good firm and a great firm, is their intake, for sure.
So, just a quick note to our audience before we begin. If you have a question that you'd like our expert panelists to answer, you can send it via the live chat. We will get to as many questions as we possibly can. And my first question, I get to ask the first question because I make the rules, is why is it still important for law firms to have a strong social media presence even in 2024?
I mean, I'll jump in real quick and this will just set up everybody else. But my take is that you're either, playing in the game or you're sitting on the sidelines. And I work with a ton of lawyers and law firms where they just don't feel that social media is a good use of their time and effort. And I just shake my head because they're just not in the game. And so I'd love to hear what everybody else has to say, but that's sort of like, marketing 101 at this point.
I agree with that. It's table stakes. It's what I call table stakes. Even though you may or may not be generating leads or actively using ads or putting budgets behind it, you've got to understand that the vast majority of your clients, even your potential clients, even your referrals, they're going to look you up because this is something significant in their life. And if you don't have an online presence, then they're going to go to Google. They're probably, not many of them go to YouTube, but when they're searching Google, that shows up as well. But they're absolutely going to Facebook, especially if they're facing something significant. We're in an age of educated buyers and consumers. So if you're not there, your competitors are.
Yeah, I think, to me, it's part of a kind of a well-rounded marketing plan is to have yourself and your firm be in front of your clients where they are. And a lot of those clients, as you guys are saying, are on social media, but it's also good to have that presence to see what they're doing, right? It's not just about what you're posting and what you're putting out there as you as a lawyer or as a law firm, but it's also seeing, what your clients are interested in. What are they interacting with? What questions are they asking on social media? Who are they connected to on social media? So if you're not there, you're not getting the opportunity to see any of those things. And I think it's funny, Nick, the way that you posed the question was, why is it still important for law firms to be in social media? And I have the same experience that Steve does, where lawyers, they're typically behind everybody else, right? So we're still trying to drag them kicking and screaming into social media. They're not to the point where they think, oh, I've been here and it's not useful anymore. We're still trying to drag them into it in a lot of cases. Conrad, I don't know what you're seeing with your clients.
Yeah, I think that there's an increasing desire. This has existed all the way back in 2006 when I started this, to know the person behind the law firm, right? To know the person behind the law degree. There was a long time when we used to think of blogging as being in this informal communication mechanism to have a different kind of feel and let people know who you are behind the law degree. That's so quaint at this point in time, because now we have social media and we can learn that you like the Ohio State football, or you're really into dogs, or you do ski patrol on the weekends, or something along those lines. And so people want to hire a person, not just a lawyer, not just the person who happens to have a law degree, but they really want to hire the person. And there's no better mechanism, and the informality of social media lets them figure out who you are as a person, as opposed to something that just happens to have a law degree. And if you don't do that, there's plenty of other people who are doing that, right? So if they really do want to hire that person, they're going to find that person. Is not going to be you.
So today, we really want to discuss how law firms can go from simply maintaining a presence on social media to actually getting engagement from it. And I know I don't want to say each social media, but each engine, right? Each form of social media really has different rules. And based on what you've seen, what does it take for law firms to get real results from their social media efforts? And when I talk about results, it can mean anything. It can mean engagement, it can mean brand affinity, it can mean, are they getting leads from it? Are we talking about paid social? But what are some of the strategies that law firms should really be involved in as it pertains to social media?
So, I mean, I'll jump in with just a couple things off the top of my head. I mean, for me, number one is consistency. So you can't hop on there and expect to get results if you're only on there, every 3 months, right? And then a piece of that consistency is engaging with other people. So, I kind of alluded to it before. A lot of people think, oh, I have a social media presence and I'm pushing all of this stuff out and it's all promotional material about my firm and I can't understand why I'm not getting results from it. And the answer is because people are there to be social. They want to engage. Even on LinkedIn, which is more of a quote unquote business platform, right? They want the engagement. So you have to spend the time. You have to spend the time commenting on what other people are posting and, making sure that you're posting things that are going to have value for your audience, not just to promote you. So those are a couple of the quick things that I think really make a difference. It's about, way back, Conrad's right. When I started the consulting business in 2005, that's when I started my blog. And that was when everybody said, that was when we started doing this engagement. And it wasn't just about posting your post, but it was about going to other people's blogs or linking to their blogs from your blog. And it's the same thing now on social media. You have to be engaging with other people and looking for what information it is that they want to see or that they're interested in. And it's not necessarily all about you. It may be about you to some degree, but it's about you, but from the lens of what are my clients or referral sources or whoever it is that I'm looking to engage with on social media, what is it that they want to know about me or that they want to know about what I do or what are their burning questions for, the problems that they have.
What to go off of what Allison's talking about, what's interesting to your audience? How much time is put into thinking about who you actually want to communicate to and connect with and engage with? If you're just putting out content that shows that you're a super lawyer and that you've won all these, awards, that's wonderful. But how engaging is that to others? That's going like me, look at me and I'm winning. And not everybody likes that. Most people don't like when other people are winning, right? We root for the underdog in many cases, and we want to be educated. We want to see innovation. We want things that are new and interesting. Teach us something. And those are the things that I think, whether it's writing or video or whatever, need to happen in order to drive that engagement up. Phil?
I was going to talk at it. I agree with everything you guys are saying. Let me put a little bit of practical spin on that and maybe raise it up to a little bit higher elevation about the overview of social. Because one of the first things I always say about social is I love the environment. I love the earth. Global warming is real, and I'm not a fanatic, and it's not my religion, but I hate single-use plastic silverware or straws. I still use them because paper sucks. Can tell you, I just feel guilty when I use them. Same thing with marketing. If you're creating single use for any platform or for social in general, you're missing the boat. You better have a big budget and people dedicated to it. And that's all they do. I think it's the most ridiculous thing that people are doing is single use content. So with social media, you can do paid or organic. With your organic, what you do is you create one piece of content, and I'll talk about what I think is resonating with people right now. One piece of content, and then you reformat it and slice it up and schedule it out for every platform. Because Allison, you look like you may be an Instagram. Conrad, I don't think you're an Instagram guy. Nick, you may be on TikTok, but Steve, he looks more like a sophisticated LinkedIn guy. I don't know where my potential clients sit. I am going to spread it on every single platform. You take one piece of content and then you figure out, you take 2 or 3 months And then you figure out how to connect all the platforms, create your platforms, and then push it out on a different schedule. So you're taking one content and pushing it everywhere. That way you don't have to worry about making shorts, because if you're doing a long form video, then you have them slice it up into shorts and reels. And then you have them translate that video, and now crazy. Now you got a blog. You don't even have to write it, right? And now you stuff your videos in your newsletter. So, and I know we're talking social here. So the content, video by far, but it shouldn't only be video, but video by far, because you can multi-purpose that to written and every other format. But the content is key. They don't care about you. They care about them. So you educate them. Education on the questions you get on intake, on the questions you get at the consult, on the niche questions in your practice areas, and you educate them. Hey, did you know you have to be physically separated in North Carolina for 364 days before you can file for divorce? Right? Then you take that content up and you put it everywhere. The other type of content that's really working, especially on social, is React videos. Everybody wants, or React content or images or memes or whatever it may be. Everybody wants to know how a lawyer breaks down the P. Diddy scandal. Everybody wants to know about the Otani betting scandal from an attorney. They want to know about that Queen Latifah is having problems with her estate right now. They want to break that down. And then you're like, hey, and if you're in New Jersey and this is something you deal with, here's my law firm. You're telling him you're an attorney without telling him you're an attorney. The other thing is with paid, that's organic. With paid social, if you're not retargeting and putting all your budget in retargeting, you're not, there's two types of paid. There's lead generation from social. That's really hard, right? You can put up, hey, are you a narcissist? Well, that's a great ad for, for family law. But ultimately, social is not the best place to do lead generation. It's to do lead conversion after they've already seen, heard you, talked to you, clicked on your website, got on your social post, and then you take that content you're already distributing everywhere else and you just retarget the heck out of them. And we're talking $500-$600 a month budget to do retargeting. You have to have traffic. You get traffic on your site or some freemium or download, and then it's like that old pair of Amazon shoes. They started doing it 10 years ago. They're following me everywhere. The internet's creepy. It's different countries. No, it's marketers. Because we know you're interested in something, and then what happens is, Nick, they keep seeing you're retargeting, and then they give up and call you. That's what we're seeing that works.
So Allison was talking about engagement. I'll keep this super short. It's the Pareto principle. Most of the time you spend all of your time creating content. Spend your time or money, right? Spend your assets with engagement and connecting with people and making lists of people that you want to connect with instead of building content. 95 out of 100 people do this backwards, right? And so you need to spend Pareto principle. 80% of your time is spent on connecting with others. Maximum 20% of your time, effort, money, whatever, is spent on creating content.
Interesting.
There you go. That's short for me.
On that, Conrad?
I like it.
Sure, I can talk forever. I was trying to I talk too much, and so I was trying to.
No, but give us a little bit more on that, because I think you're setting it up, but you got to knock it down.
It depends where you are, but I would think about who are the people that I want to know in this market, right? Who are the right people? Am I going to spend time identifying them? Do I follow their stuff? Do I comment on their stuff? Do I share their stuff? Am I interesting? And so that's the kind of thing. This is the old Gary Vaynerchuk book, jab, 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 right hook, right? You ask, like you give before you make an ask, and you probably never make that ask. And so my take is you become the cheerleader of the people you want to connect with. You become their outreach. You become their mouthpiece and their extension, and that karma comes back around. It doesn't always come back around, but it's not about my content. It is like everyone knows that person that they went to college with who was just this great networker because they asked questions, right? And they got people talking about themselves. Become everyone else's mouthpiece. I'll tell you, this is a true story. We have a client in Ohio who has been asked. He's a master at what I call dark social. He has been asked, have you closed down your law firm and started a marketing company? And his entire social practice, his entire strategy is showcasing the success of others, other businesses, others getting started. And that's what he does. That's his entire, it's strategically brilliant, but people don't even know he's practicing law sometimes because like he's so busy promoting everyone else. And when you go that route and instead of like, this is me, instead of publishing content and writing content, you're using others, you're promoting others. That's the Pareto principle where most agencies are like, make sure on July 4th you put up a generic picture of an American flag because if you don't, no one's going to notice. And it's like, really? Really?
I love that, Conrad. We've got a client, they did this on their own, but they do restaurant reviews in their town, in their area.
Yeah. So
that's all they do.
Levinson Stephanie in Chicago is famous for this. They've been doing restaurant reviews in Chicago for years. They are known and loved by the food gastronomic community. I don't even know if that's the right use of the word gastronomy community in Chicago. And they just promote independent restaurants and they win and people love them because of that. People don't even know what they do, but like that, it's so easy to become this cheerleader for others and make yourself look like this amazing, wonderful, beneficent person. And it ultimately it's self-serving, but you build affinity for yourself by promoting others and working with others and connecting with others instead of even writing amazingly cool content, right? That I could write. No one really cares as much about my stuff as they do about their own.
That's what real estate agents did, right? That's what take a picture from what they did from the last 20 years. They're doing, community reviews. They're doing town reviews, things like that. I love it, Conrad. That's genius.
But you do want to make sure you do that 20% so they know what you do.
So this is interesting. Ken Levinson has said this, and this happens, and I've seen this happen. That my law firm in Chicago had the same thing. They know you're a lawyer. Most people aren't going to remember what type of lawyer you are on social. They know you're a lawyer, and so what happens? Ken has said this. Ken's like, listen, everyone knows me as the food guy lawyer in Chicago, and like they don't know what I do, and I'm like, shut up. They know who you are. That's the heart. Like, don't complain about that. They know who you are. My dude in Ohio, he does a lot of personal injury work. They've hired a criminal defense lawyer because they were getting so many requests from people who didn't know what they did, but they knew who he was and they liked him. And he's like,
at least they knew he was a lawyer.
Yeah, right. This is a 1 foot putt, right? Like hire a criminal defense lawyer and make money. So I would rather them like you than know that you're a tax lawyer or a family lawyer or this, that, or the other thing. I want them to like you. And if you win that game, okay, you get 9 out of 10 inbounds aren't relevant for what you do, but you now make 9 more friends by doing something with those inbounds, right?
Referral partners, split commissions, cross referrals, right? Or hire an attorney. Start another. I love it.
So I have a separate question because we're talking about really like getting people to like you on social media and different ways to be on social media. And I have my own opinions on this, but social media, is it now completely pay to play, or are there still avenues for reaching viewers organically? Like, is there a blend, or is it simply pay to play?
What do you mean by reaching who? I think that's important. What do you mean reaching potential leads that are cold, that don't know you?
Yes, but so I'll make this point that like Facebook as a business page, if you post from a business page on Facebook, it largely doesn't go into the news feed just because that's part of the Facebook algorithm. So I'm talking about any organic reach whatsoever, whether or not it's targeted, because obviously if you pay, you can target it to a certain degree. But is it completely pay to play, or is there still a way to have an organic strategy on social?
I'll jump in. There's definitely a number of different ways to do things on the cheap or for free and still get great results. I'm more of a LinkedIn person than in recommending that for lawyers that I work with than other groups. But the things that they're missing, and these are two dirty little secrets I'll give everybody that you may or may not want to do, and you may or may not feel that it's appropriate, but I do it and it works like a charm. Number one is I have a pod set up. So I've got people that also play in the legal space, and we get together every Friday and we just promote each other's posts and share and comment, and we all have our own big audiences, and we get a lot of traction because when people start seeing a lot of comments and shares on things, not only does LinkedIn boost it and love it, but also people tend to want to glom on. So that's one. And the other is when I have a really important post and I know my clients are going to love it, and it's really, about them, or it's about a group I'm running or a great speaker I had, I'll just email the post to my group, 5, 10 to 20 people, and say, hey, would you guys mind commenting, sharing this? It involves all of us. I think it's a great effort, great program, whatever it is. And then they all chime in and comment and share, and you get this explosion of all these audiences that never would have seen a post that now are interacting with it. So I think there's ways to go around the pay-to-play system if you have a good group of people around you that, whether that's internally at your firm or externally with people that play in the same space, you're going to get really, really strong traction.
The pods you have to be careful with, because if LinkedIn realizes that it's a pod, they penalize you for that. And
in theory,
what's that?
In theory, there's a lot of dirty marketing pods out there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I think you can also, like I was saying before, when you engage with other people's posts, if somebody's writing on something and you've got a post or you have an article or something, you can always comment and leave the link and say, or tell people, hey, I've written about this if you're interested in this topic and you have more information. But I think when you engage with other people, we were talking earlier about the karma factor. Sometimes it comes back to you when you promote other people. It's the same thing on social. Even if you're not doing a post that's promoting somebody else, engaging with their content is helping them, because the more engagement they get, the more engagement they're going to get, and they're going to be looking to help you out. Or maybe they see somebody that they don't know in their comment feed, and then they click over and kind of check you out, and then they start following you, and it kind of builds from there. So, I think that there are definitely ways to get that engagement more organically. I also think when you're talking about law firms, even though law firms have pages on Facebook and should have, and on LinkedIn and on some of these other channels, people like to, as Conrad was saying earlier, they like to know who the people are that they're dealing with. So if you've got your law firm that's creating content, you want the individuals in that law firm, and it doesn't have to be just the lawyers, because there are other people who work in law firms who have connections, who might generate business or get in front of whatever audience it is that you want to be in front of. You want to make sure that the individuals are engaging. You can't just have the law firm page doing all of the work, because people don't care so much about pages, they care about people. So if you want to get engagement, organically, it's got to be through the people.
Yeah, when I look at this, the paid versus organic, I think LinkedIn is a little bit different beast than all of the others. But when I also look at this, I'm trying to work with scale. And so individually connecting and interacting, that's a lot of time, and it will pay revenue and ROI. So you can organically in LinkedIn still generate revenue and contacts and leads and clients. But when you look at all the other social posts and social platforms, honestly, right now everything is pay to play except for one. And when I say pay to play, when I mentioned retargeting before, we have clients in like 42 states, and our retargeting budget for Meta is about $1,000 a month. So when we're talking pay to play, not talking new lead generation, but converting those leads that have traffic that you have a contact with, that's so inexpensive. That should be your first dollars in paid marketing if you have some traffic for your web, or you've got some there. If you don't, and we're actually getting a lot of clients getting a lot of traction right now, but the only organic that's working are shorts and reels. Everything else is not generating on social outside of LinkedIn, and that's not as scalable or has the traffic as the others. But this is right now, the window's still open, and it's been open for a couple years. I don't know when it's going to come closed, because those short form videos are the only ones that actually are being shown from another company, and that's because they're educating, or they're telling them that you're an attorney without telling you you're an attorney, or a criminal defense attorney. Well, we have one client that all he does is break down the interviews. You know, those interviews, the black and whites from the police station, right? That come down and you get the angle down here and here's the criminal and he's all sweating. And then, you know, the police is abusing them, or they're just taking, you know, walking this guy into a, whatever it may be. He just breaks those down, right? That's the stuff that people will watch and see. Because with those short algorithms, you have to be entertaining. And I'm not saying funny, but you have to be like, and it's a lawyer breaks down X, Y, and Z, and you'll just get a bunch of people to watch as if it's pop culture. You will see that, and then it's branding. But other than that, it really is kind of pay to play at any type of scale.
So I look at it, Phil mentioned algos. I think you need to look at every single one of these, and it's not just the platform, it's different pieces of content within the platform are driven by different algos. You need to start delivering data on that. You need to start learning what works and what doesn't work, and how, like, we know, well, you should know this, your LinkedIn distribution is heavily impacted by who and how early that is engaged with, right? So you should know that, right? And you should start to learn what types of content work for you and what types of content don't work for you. You should learn what types of content are getting, and by types, I mean both thematically as well as kind of format perspective. You need to start to actually look at this. If you just post and don't use the data, you're running blind into the wall, right? You can get a lot of distribution organically through that. And because it is organically, these are probably people who already like you. You're doing the retargeting thing because they're already within that sphere. And that is the most effective thing you can do is stay in front of people on the regular who already know and like you. I do look at paid as being an accelerator for building out what that pool looks like. So if you want to build that pool much more quickly, I think that's important.
Conrad, can I ask you a question? Would you, if you were a client that's looking at getting into this, would you suggest, you know what, we should jump over that and put your first paid dollars into Google? Or do you think it would be better used on a social platform?
Well,
Sorry,
Nick, great question. Let me break your question into two different parts. From a direct response perspective, if you are a law firm looking to generate business today, I don't think social media should be in your top 10. It works sometimes, but 5% of the, I'm pulling that number out of the air, 5% of the spend on social should be on direct response. If you are a law firm with a long-term perspective and you don't need to fill business today because you're already busy, but you want to build out affinity and awareness within your local market over the next 3 years, yeah, start spending money on social. But they are two fundamentally different things with two fundamentally different reasons to spend money. I'll tell you the other thing, just while we're talking about paid, and Nick's looking at his next question. Don't buy followers. It's stupid.
Who does that anymore?
Well, lots of people do that.
I know.
So the stupid part of this is okay, it's stupid. Why, Conrad? The algos are heavily driven by engagement. And if you buy a bunch of people from Uzbekistan or bot-driven accounts, right, they are not going to give you engagement. Now, there are these engagement pods that Allison referenced earlier, and they can get shut down. They are unbelievably and grossly effective. I wouldn't recommend it, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think you need to get, and people are so enamored with like, I've got 70,000 LinkedIn followers, right? And they're all from Uzbekistan, or they're all strangely single women from Russia who have pretty pictures of themselves, right? Don't. It's not this is, I can't not make this sound gross, but it's not about the size, it's about the engagement, right? It's about how quality your group is. And the easiest way to throw a quality of your network is to buy people into it.
I remember back in the day, people used to buy traffic to their website to like inflate their Google Analytics numbers.
Okay,
and try.
I hate to say this, but like SEOs who convince you that traffic is a really good metric of how your SEO is doing are placing themselves in the position to go buy traffic to convince you that everything is going up and to the right. And that 100% happens today.
Oh.
All right, I'm going to ask a follow-up question because I think a lot of the lawyers that watch this conversation are going to say, okay, great, I should be on social, I should do it this way. But what type of content should law firms be posting on social media that can lead to them being top of mind with potential clients?
So I think a lot of that depends on who their potential clients are and knowing who the audience is. It goes back to what we were saying earlier. You need to have a really good idea of who it is that you want to connect with. And your audience on social may not even be your potential clients, right? You have to maybe even take one step further back than that to say, what is it that I want to accomplish with social? Am I getting to my potential clients? Maybe or maybe not. That may depend on whether you have a business to business type law practice or a business to consumer type law practice. Maybe you're, I have some clients who are using social to get the attention of reporters so that they can get the reporters to get them to ask them for quotes or to put them on TV to comment on things. And that's how people are seeing them. So trying to figure out what type of content is like the third step down the line, right? First, you got to figure out, what am I doing on social in the first place? Who am I trying to connect with? And then to figure out what kind of content to post. And I think what Phil said earlier about creating one piece of content and slicing and dicing it for different platforms, you can also slice and dice it into different formats, right? You could take what was a video and just make that into a piece of audio content, or you could turn it into an article using the transcript. And so different people are going to look at different formats. Video is huge, and the short form video, I agree with what you were saying before, Phil. On some of these platforms, that's the only thing anybody's looking at, that they're going to stop their scroll for is those short form, video content or reels. But you have to know where your audience is and what kind of content would be interesting to them. And I think mix it up, and you want to do some education and some entertainment. I know we had a question, in the chat. I don't know if you guys are looking at it, but I'll throw it out because I think it kind of goes with this question, which is, many people suggest not to advertise directly about your business and what you do on social media, but instead to post some knowledgeable or entertaining content. But in that way, are most of the people unaware still of what we offer? So how do we maintain both things? How do you keep people engaged and let them know what your business is?
Yeah. I'd like to jump in. I mean, one of the greatest things I ever did I know some of you guys do this too, is, having a podcast. And podcasts are all overdone and everybody's doing one. But when they're done really well and you're able to highlight a guest who really connects with your audience and really has something to share, you're getting that audio podcast, you're getting the video from it. That video is broken down into pieces. It can be transcribed and created into articles and posts. Most importantly, though, it's answering the tough questions that your audience wants answered or what they want to learn. And to go off of what Allison is saying, I'll mention my tagline, "Be That Lawyer," at the beginning of a show, or I'll mention at the end, so people know what I do, and they also get a feeling for my level of experience and expertise based on the way I conduct the interview, the way that I'm taking someone down a path, or adding my value in as we go. And so I think that's a way to really highlight someone else who has something wonderful to say and important to say, but also includes your expertise in subtly. And of course, you're getting people hooked into a show that maybe they're going to listen to on the regular. And again, then they're going to see your posting on social media, and it all kind of works together in sync. So I think that's really a great way to create content, but also to make sure that you're building your audience by producing content that can be exploded out by what you're posting, and then what your guest, for example, on my podcast, is also sharing with their audience.
Yeah, I think that's smart. One of the things that I found out early on is I am not smart enough to understand the algorithms, and I am not smart enough to keep up with all the algorithms. That's why I believe it was Allison that mentioned earlier the consistency. It has to be there 3 times a month, 4 times a month is better. It has to be consistent. But then what we see as resonating is the video, but honestly, it's creating fresh new content on topics that your potential clients, like when you have a listening ear, you're like, I just had a consult and they asked me a unique question. Well, go create a video about it, because if they ask it, 20 other people asked it. You look at your practice area. You said, well, I'm an attorney. I'm not an entertainer. Yeah, right. And I don't even look good on camera or what. No, I get all of those excuses. But if you can break something down, if you can come at it with an attorney's approach, that's what the general public likes to see as an authority. And if there's some pop culture, that's going to get your engagement. That's going to get your branding out there. And then if you're consistent, you know what? We'll create these best pieces of content or video and nobody looks at them. I don't know why. I think it's some of our best stuff. And then something silly that we'll put up that we break down, like, when we talked about the bar association in Arizona and Utah opening up to non-attorney law firms. That was what a lot of that went viral in our community. And that was a lot more technical than something else. So I never know what's going to work. That's why the consistent process, if you're not going to do this for years on end and you don't have a process that you don't have to do every part of it, because if you do, you will not do that. But if you don't have that consistency, then don't start. Don't bother. Just outsource this to somebody. But either way, you have to be consistent, and then you just keep putting up things that interest your potential clients that they're asking for and what's in your local community and your neighborhood and pop culture. And that's we see as the best type of organic content.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is most people don't want to talk about legal stuff on the regular, right? They just don't. Sorry. I'll if you want some inspiration on this, Allison's question was very pertinent. How do you make sure people know what you do while also posting things that are interesting? I think the key here is focus on the posting interesting thing, and you can have the subtle cues. I love this guy. He's new. I haven't seen him I've known of this guy maybe 4 months. The long hair lawyer. Right? This dude's got some beautiful locks. I don't know how, if he goes bald, his branding is totally FUBARD, right? But it's unique. That's going to either work for you or not. You're going to love it or you're not. And mostly what he does is he posts stuff about rock climbing, running a triathlon, right? Like playing in a baseball game. He's just out there and he's very, very active on stuff that he does. I literally, while we've been looking, I was like, I wonder what this guy does. It's also a really easy win on SEO. You can look up for long hair lawyer and you're not going to find the different firm. My point is all of his content that frankly appeals to me as someone who spends a lot of time outdoors, okay, game on. I like it. I like the guy. I can remember the guy. And I know that the guy's a lawyer simply because his branding is the long hair lawyer. Right. And it's more important for this guy. And I think this is a guiding principle to build affinity with people than to make sure that they know hey, if you're 3 steps into your business contracting dispute, right, maybe give me a call. And I like the way he does it. It's probably an extreme example, but I like his approach to this.
We have a guy who does mullets, and he's got a mullet, and he's a PI attorney. He does videos all the time. We got an estate planner, and she's an elderly lady. She's I'm not going to say elderly. She's in her late 60s.
Careful.
I'll leave it that. But she's estate planning, and you know what she does? She loves to knit. So she takes all these different types of alpaca, I don't know all these animals, and she teaches people about estate planning and trust while she's knitting.
But what's at the core of that I love about the long hair lawyer and others like him is that when you put something like that out and you show your authentic self in a positive light, and people like the outdoors and you like the outdoors and they like the outdoors, you're getting clients and you're getting traction in clients that are like you. And when you're working with people and getting attracted to people like you, that's where you want your clients to be. I want clients that are ambitious. I want clients that are hungry to learn, that want to grow, because that's me. That's what I do every day and what I'm into every day. So anytime you can put things out that are going to attract like-minded people and like kind, that's going to be a great way to generate not just business, but the right business for you. So I love that example.
And it converts at a much higher rate, right?
That's it.
Yeah,
right.
Because they already have an affinity with you. And that's what we're all it goes back to the old know, like, and trust factor, right? I already like this guy. This is somebody that I know I can talk to because we have things in common. And I know that they're going to understand me because they go through the same things, or they like the same things, or what have you. And that's, Nick, I don't want to hijack your program, but we're talking about the things to do and the things that we like to see. But I just want to throw out something that I've been seeing that I don't particularly like, and I'm wondering what you guys think about it, which is people using AI to engage for them on social media. I've seen some AI videos that are really cringy to me, but I've also seen the AI generated comments, and they drive me insane, and I think that they accomplish the opposite of the purpose that people are trying to accomplish. So we're talking about engaging and commenting with other people, but this goes back to Steve just said the word again a minute ago, the authenticity. And if you don't have the authenticity, to me, it doesn't work. But I don't know what you guys are seeing around on social and what you think about AI. I mean, we know it can help draft things or come up with ideas, and all of that is good, but I'm not a fan of AI standing in the shoes of the person who's supposed to be engaging.
It's lowered the barrier of entry to really crappy content, and I am really interested to see, because these, just like Google makes money when they return the right results, YouTube, Facebook, Insta, TikTok, they have to turn the right results on. So I'm really interested how they're going to be able to delineate between AI and non-AI, because what I am seeing is you think it's crowded now. You think the content's out there now. It's just going to be so overwhelming that it may not even be beneficial. And then we're have to figure out what's next. Right?
So I almost don't want to answer this question.
Go ahead.
But I will. So we'll go, and Nick, I'm sorry for doing this live and you can't edit it out. The porn industry and virtual relationships have gotten to a point where it is indistinguishable from a human. Okay? We're there right now. There are people who have relationships. Remember the movie Her, which was like 10 years ago? Like, that's happening right now. And so you're seeing more AI that you don't think is AI, right? Yep. And to Phil's point, and by the way, I have no answer at the end of this. This is like a useless comment, but this is what I think about. Do we get to a point where you're like, these are just a bunch of robots interacting with each other and nothing's actually happening? I mean, you are going to get deepfakes during this political, it's already there during this political sequence, and it's indistinguishable from reality, okay? And we've been talking about to create all these clips and these podcasts. Like I've run in a segment of we did this for fun. We ran a podcast. We fed it in. We fed all our old podcasts. Me and Guy, we sat down, we put it together, and we had it spit ourselves back out to us, right? It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't that far off, right? And then we do that, and then we've got people like commenting on this that are really bought. Like it just turns into. So how does consumer behavior change in our understanding of what we believe to be real in the digital world, right? We don't trust news now as humans, right? We don't. It's super, super fascinating. I don't really have a good answer to this, but
there is none.
This got really dark really fast, guys.
We're within 12 months of like, you can do this right now. I could take one of my clients. I have to go to sleep
tonight.
I know, but so think about I can take one of my clients, put them on a green screen, record their voice, the way they move, the way they talk, the things that they talk about. I can feed a whole bunch of content that is urban fed into a computer, and I can create something. I can create a new video post every single day, customized to the day of the week and the location that my client is in, without incurring the cost of them actually doing that. And I can do that over and over and over again.
And now if everybody can do that, then what's that going to do to content?
We're going to have to do like eye scans or something to before anybody sees a video coming up or something.
So then you have these different variants of the web, right? These concepts of these different variants of the web where it's verified and unverified. Like, woohoo, right? I don't know, man.
Where there's change, there's opportunity, Conrad. So that's why we keep talking about it and keep getting involved and seeing it, because I honestly think that our content's going to be overrun, and it's not going to be in 36 months from now. It's just too easy.
This is the change that it happens all the time, and we're just in the middle of it.
Right. I remember back in the day when I was installing needle servers in closets at law firms because they didn't believe in the cloud. And then now look at that company. And then just yesterday, Clio, the first cloud company, $900 million Series F funding from angel investors, 900. We texted Jack and we are like, why didn't you get $1 billion? But that would have been a better number. But he laughed, but I'm saying 900. And so you're talking about this evolution that we're sitting in right now. And just like the .com, this is what the next generation, and I don't know how to capitalize on it other than where there's change, there's opportunity, and you still keep getting involved. Rely upon the traditional, they hire people, not firms. Be authentic. Do it with your dog in your backyard. Talk to them about what they're asking, what's going on in your town. That's the stuff right now that's still breaking through, but keep an eye on how content's created and how much creation is out there.
Well, I hate to put a damper on the porn conversation, and for the record, so I work at Answering Legal. I have one person who owns this company, and very recently came to me and said, "We want to start advertising on Twitter." And so I put together a whole presentation, looked into our opportunity on Twitter, and then I had to stop myself. Because all I was doing was just strategizing, and I made it very plain and simple for the owner. I said, I don't think we want to be on Twitter because there's a lot of porn on Twitter. And I don't think we want to associate our brand. So that's where I thought you were going with that, Conrad.
No.
I thought you were...
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's where I thought you were going. But we're coming up on time, so if our campers want to continue following your work and connect with your company further, where do you recommend they go? I'm going to start with you, Steve.
Yeah, easy peasy. So my last name, Fretzin, just go to fretzin.com. I've got a ton of content there and ways to get in touch with me. If somebody's very serious about growing their law practice and they want to have a 30-minute consultation with me just to learn more and for me to kind of evaluate the potential, that's where I'm not hiding.
That's where I'm not hiding. I love that. How about you, Allison?
Yeah, so you can always reach me by email. It's Allison with 2 L's and an I at legalease, EASE, consulting.com, or my website, which also has a ton of content and other ways to contact me and links to all my socials, is lawyermeltdown.com.
I love that.
How about you, Philip?
The best way to reach out to us is probably go to our site, Rainmaker Retreat. We run these boot camps, these 3-day boot camps, and we talk about just these things and we deep dive in the practical business of law. And I think that's the best place to start because there's so much noise out there. There's so much confusion. You need a kind of a direction. We've got a great event coming up at Torrey Pines, the golf course. And everybody who comes gets a free round at the U.S. Open Championship course. Or a spa day if you like to dig holes on the course like I do. But I think the Rainmaker Retreat's a great resource for a lot of practical information, things you can learn and then go implement tomorrow.
Yeah, my golf clubs are all shovels. How about you, Conrad?
The good thing for me is I'm fairly active on social, and I have a unique last name. It's SAAM. If you can't find me, either I'm doing a bad job or I don't want to talk to you.
Love it. Exclusivity. That's your approach.
100%. That is all the time we have for this discussion. I'd like to thank Allison Johs, Conrad Sam, Philip Fairley, and Steve Fretzin for joining me today.